All right, today we're jumping into something really fascinating, a study about mindset that uncovers this huge gap between what we say we believe about ourselves and what we actually do. So let's get right into it.
So I want you to kick things off by just thinking about this question for a second. Seriously, how you answer it pretty much puts you into one of two different camps. And that answer has massive implications for your success, your happiness, and, as we're going to see, the entire future of work.
Okay, so these two camps, they were actually defined by psychologist Carol Dweck. On one side, you've got the growth mindset. If you're in this camp, you believe you can get smarter, you can get better, you can learn new skills if you just put in the work. Challenges? They're actually opportunities. But on the other side, you've got the fixed mindset. This is the belief that, well, you're born with what you've got, and that's pretty much the end of the story. And for people with this mindset, challenges are just plain risky. Because what if you fail? It might just prove you weren't smart enough to begin with. Now, why is this conversation so critical, like right now? Well, it's because the whole world of work is changing at a breakneck speed, and honestly, it's creating a pretty huge problem. And check this out. The World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report dropped this bombshell of a number. They projected a 64% deficit of specialists with the right skills to meet the demands of our new economy. That is a huge gap we're staring down the barrel of right now. So here's the real kicker. Closing that gap isn't as simple as just, sending everyone to a training course. The real foundational skill we all need for the future is the mindset to want to learn all the time. That's the engine of a growth mindset. Without that, adapting to changes, well, it's almost impossible. Which brings us right to the heart of our source material today, Generation Z. I mean, they're the next wave coming into the workforce, so their mindset is unbelievably important. And here's the thing, when you ask them about it, the answers you get, they sound amazing.
The survey data here is pretty incredible. When students were asked, hey, is learning more important than just getting an A? The response was just overwhelming. I mean, look at this chart. See those high bars way over on the right? That's everyone basically shouting, yes, of course. It looks like a textbook growth mindset.
And just in case there was any doubt, they flipped the script. They asked, would you rather just get the good grade? And again, look at the results. The high bars are now way over on the left, which means strong disagreement. So on paper, it really looks like Gen Z is perfectly wired for the future. But what happens when you stop asking them questions and you just watch what they do? Okay, this is where the plot twist comes in. The researchers didn't just stop at surveys. No, they set up actual experiments with real choices. And what they found was a pretty shocking contradiction. Right here on this slide, you can see the two worlds just colliding. You had a really big group of students, 37%, who said in the survey, oh yeah, I'd totally pick the hard task so I can learn. But when push came to shove in the experiment, they did the complete opposite. They chose the easier problem on a topic they already knew. And it didn't stop there. The evidence just kept stacking up. When they were offered a chance to really test their skills in a tough logic competition, only 14% signed up. When they got to pick project topics, they almost always picked subjects they were already comfortable with, avoiding anything new. And maybe the biggest tell of all, there was absolutely zero connection between a student's self-reported growth mindset and their actual grades. So what on earth is going on here? Well, the researchers gave it a name. They called it a false growth mindset. It's this idea that you know the right answers to the questions. You know you're supposed to love challenges and want to learn, but you haven't actually made that a part of how you act. It's really just an illusion of mindset. This just begs the question, right? Why? Why is there this huge disconnect? Why do we say one thing
and then go for the comfortable, easy option. The researchers think it might be connected to a bigger trend in our culture.
The researchers' theory is that this is all tied to a trend they call infantilization. Now, what they mean by that is a kind of psychological immaturity, a feeling of vulnerability, and this sort of consumer attitude towards life. It's an expectation that things should just be provided for you, easily and without a lot of struggle.
And this slide is such a brilliant illustration of how this preference for easy even shows up in the words we use. The research pointed to the rise of these simple, borrowed slang words like vibe or cringe, and as you can see, they're often replacing more complex native words that take more effort to say and think about. It reflects a desire to lower the cognitive load, to basically make thinking simpler. Okay, so if we're sort of culturally wired to take the easy route, how do we fight back? How do we build a real growth mindset? Well, there's this old story, a parable about 3 stonecutters that gives us a really powerful clue. So this traveler is walking along, and he sees 3 men cutting stone. He walks up to the first one and asks him, "What are you doing?" And the guy just sighs, and says, "I'm carrying heavy stones." He only sees the chore, the hard labor, the burden. It's a totally fixed perspective.
So he moves on to the second stonecutter, asks him the same question. This guy's a little different. He replies, "I'm earning a living to support my family. I just can't wait for this day to be over." He's completely detached. The work itself doesn't mean anything to him. It's just a means to an end. But then he gets to the third man, and when he asks him what he's doing, this guy's whole face just lights up. He looks up with this huge smile and says, with so much pride, "I am building a temple that will stand for 1,000 years." Now think about it. All 3 of them are doing the exact same job. But that third guy, he's connected his work to a powerful purpose. That is a true growth mindset. And that's the key right there, that huge shift in perspective from the third stonecutter. That's not magic. It's actually a skill. In psychology, they even have a name for it. It's called job crafting. It's all about proactively changing your work to make it more meaningful for you. And job crafting really breaks down into 3 key things you can do. First, you can craft your tasks. That's changing what you actually do every day. Second, you can craft your relationships, changing who you interact with to make your work more inspiring or collaborative. And then there's the third one, which is the most powerful of all, crafting your cognition. That's exactly what the third stonecutter did. He changed how he thought about his job by connecting it to something bigger. And this is so important, because just being proactive or busy isn't always a good thing. As you can see in this model, it can go one of 2 ways. There's a light side, where you start with a clear sense of purpose, and that leads to real growth and confidence. But then there's the dark side. That's when you're just busy for the sake of being busy without a real purpose, and that is a one-way ticket to burnout. That sense of purpose, that's the difference maker. At the end of the day, a true growth mindset isn't something you just say you have in a survey. It's a practice. It's about actively seeking out that purpose and building your own temple, one stone at a time. Like the entrepreneur Chris Grosser said, opportunities don't happen, you create them. So the question is, what will you create